Yeah, it's rewind time.
Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash and another one of our flashback reviews, which of course we haven't done one for a while. So we started doing these during that initial COVID period when there really wasn't much for people to watch at home, let alone be able to talk about in the channel, but then things started to get clogged up on the channel with actual proper news that came out, so the series was put on ice. I was never going to just, put it away completely. I just didn't know when I'd come back to it. But to be honest, we were gone for it for longer than I thought. And I mean, if I was going to bring it back, now seems to be the perfect time in the lead up to the now ninth and final season of The Flash. And as I did previously, I can tell you the next episode we'll be focusing on after this one. And this is it's a special one, as we will be doing not only one episode but two episodes in one video, as we'll be focusing on the Earth 2 episodes of season 2, those of course being episode 13, Welcome to Earth 2, and episode 14, Escape from Earth 2. So if you want, after this video or sometime during the next couple days, you can feel free to watch those if you want. Not forcing you, just giving you the heads up. In regards to the schedule for these flashback reviews, not going to just spam them up day after day, because that's just going to get annoying. They'll just be uploaded every now and then, not, every day, but maybe every, every like third or fourth video, something like that. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know your general thoughts on everything we go over. Do you remember this episode? Do you remember your feelings when you watched it for the first time? Did anything surprise you and like make you go, "Oh yeah, in that episode, I wasn't expecting that to happen"? So yeah, let me know your thoughts down there, as well as if you maybe went to rewatch it yourself or rewatched it recently, and whether you think it holds up or anything like that. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show your support and you liking the series, want to drop a like on the video to do all that. So for the return episode of Flashback Reviews, hopefully you can tell by the title that we will be flashbacking to Season 1, Episode 20, otherwise entitled The Trap, which of course was in that tense build-up to the end of Season 1. And in the lead-up to this episode, we had Joe and Cisco look into the car accident that happened all those years ago in which Harrison Wells' wife died, this of course being with the help of Quentin Lance from Arrow, where they end up finding a corpse. Now, after some tests, they are shocked to find that this corpse is that of the real Harrison Wells. So this leads Cisco, Caitlin, and Barry to finding the Time Vault in Star Labs, where they not only find the Reverse Flash suit on display, but also that elusive article from 2024. So yeah, things are heating up. But let's jump into the Speed Force recap of Season 1, Episode 20, otherwise known as The Trap. So throughout the episode, we flash back to the weeks following the particle accelerator explosion, and we were shown how Joe and Iris handled Barry being in a coma. One night, Harrison Wells shows up at the hospital and convinces Joe to let Star Labs treat him by playing on Joe's desperation and referring to Barry as Joe's son. Though Joe allows Barry to go, you can tell he is pretty sus on Wells. Now, Iris pays Barry in a coma a visit at Star Labs and updates him on her life, what's going on, like going out with Eddie and stuff like that. But as Iris begins to leave, she touches Barry's hand and is shocked by static electricity. This, of course, setting up a big reveal later on. But back in the present day, we pick up right where we left off in the last episode, where it ended with Barry, Caitlin, and Cisco in Wells' Time Vault. And after a look at all the, Easter egg filled things in the newspaper, like the tease at Iris West Allen, as well as Barry being a founding member of, something. And of course, talking to Gideon, who Barry apparently creates in the future, they rush out of there because Wells returns to Star Labs and is heading straight towards them. The one crucial bit of intel that is learned is that Wells came there to kill Barry. From there, they head to the West home to update Joe and Eddie, and seeking to convince Eddie that time travel is actually a thing, Barry reveals his recent time travel experience following the whole tsunami incident. With all of this new information, Barry makes a pretty plot-convenient assumption and believes that Cisco's dreams aren't actually dreams, but they're memories of the original timeline that Barry ran back from. They decide that the only way to get Wells to confess to the murder of Barry's mother is to go into Cisco's dreams. And as you would expect, Caitlin and Cisco are able to create glasses to do, just that thing. The team puts Cisco to sleep and sends him into this dream. Once under, he remembers all of the events from the alternate timeline from before, including his death. Now, it's that last part with his death that makes Cisco almost go into a stroke. But his death and some help from Caitlin actually wakes him up. However, straight after this, Wells calls Barry to let him know about a fire that has broken out. He arrives on the scene but can't seem to put the fire out, so Wells walks Barry through creating the vortexes with his arms, which we're pretty used to now, in order to clear the oxygen out of the room, which of course works because we got Wells instructing Barry how to do it. Now, Wells soon after tells Barry what we've come to know for a while. The only thing holding Barry back from becoming all that he can be is himself. It's moments like these that really not only confuse Barry, but also us, the people watching, because it's so easy to like Wells, though we know we shouldn't be liking him. Now, Eddie asks Joe for his blessing to propose to Iris in this episode, but Joe denies it. Now, Eddie asks Barry to talk to Joe because he's worried that Iris won't be happy without Joe's support, and this is just the general tension that's going on between Eddie and Joe, so Barry pulls Joe aside to talk. He doesn't want Iris and Eddie to get married because he knows Iris has feelings for Barry, and if she marries Eddie, one day she'll wake up and realize she has married the wrong man. Now, due to the events of Cisco's dream, Barry knows that the only way to get Wells to let down his guard and confess to everything is to put him in a room with someone he trusts and cares for, which is Cisco. They decide to recreate Cisco's memories, except this time, Cisco won't die because we have Barry and Joe there, and the whole force field around there has been modified to not let any speedsters inside. We also have Caitlin there, who's recording the conversation from the cortex to hopefully expose Wells, and Eddie is outside protecting Iris. With this whole trap set, Wells is then baited and ventured downstairs into the area, and like we saw a few episodes before in the Out of Time episode, which I think was actually the first flashback review we did, Wells walks into the room, compliments Cisco's cleverness, and gets ready to vibrate through him like we'd seen in that previous episode. Cisco actually turns on the force field, but nope, it doesn't work, and Wells just walks straight through it. Now, Joe opens fire with his gun on Wells, while Barry runs to try and catch the bullets, because Wells hasn't confessed anything yet, and that's what Barry wants. But Barry misses one of them, and Wells is shot and dies. But hold on, it's not actually Wells. It's Hannibal Bates, aka Everyman, who had been locked up in the previous episode in the pipeline, and Wells had just had him impersonate himself. Now, right after this, Wells' voice comes on over the intercom, and he harnesses his inner Adrian Chase from Arrow, saying that he'll always be many steps ahead of Barry. Now, Barry rushes to the time vault and finds Wells' extensive surveillance system. He had cameras everywhere, in the West household, Iris' office, Barry's lab, everywhere, with the whole camera situation actually being set up in previous episodes, but this moment revealing the extent that it went to. But Barry really has to act quick in this whole situation as he thinks, that Wells is going to go after Iris, who's outside in the open with Eddie, but it's not anything standard that's going on out there. Eddie is actually going to propose to Iris during all this stuff going on. However, Eddie is rudely interrupted by the Reverse Flash, who goes in for the kill on Iris, but is saved just in time by Barry, with Earbud taking Eddie as a hostage instead. Now, Barry goes after Eddie, but was touching Iris' hand at the point that he runs away, which gives Iris the shock like she got in the hospital when Barry was comatose, making her realize, in probably one of the better identity reveals around, that Barry is the Flash. In the episode's cliffhanger, Wells does reveal to Eddie that they are related. This makes Eddie realize that's why Wells allowed him to really live on past the last whole Reverse Flash incident, because in a previous episode, Wells, or Reverse Flash, got right up in Eddie's face and he thought Eddie was going to die, but he let him live. And we then get flashbacks right at the end of the episode to Wells promising a comatose Barry in Star Labs that reckoning is coming and that he will die. Ooh, talk about drama. So what are my cons of the episode? I really only have one, and just because it sort of stood out like a bit of a sore thumb and it felt a bit rushed, and that was Joe trying to sabotage Eddie's goals to marry Iris. If Eddie isn't the right man for Iris, that's for Iris to either decide or make that mistake and then move on and live with it. It was believed by many at the time, some of you might remember, some of you might not, that they were rushing Iris and Barry's development as a couple at the end of this season, and this was one of the moments that played into it, and I guess it's sort of made worse due to the fact that Eddie pretty much has like a straight downward spiral from this episode onwards, to the point where he does take his own life because he doesn't feel like he has any other purpose, if that makes sense. So he goes, well, this is how I can, play a part in everything, and he ends up saving everyone, obviously. But of course, that downward spiral is sort of played into by Joe here. But what are my pros of the episode? Well, the obvious one, the one that stands out so easily in this episode is Wells. I mean, do you have to say more? Tom Cavanagh kills it as Wells in this final portion of season 1, and this is one of those episodes which stands out as well. Even just the whole recreation of like the previous episode, as well as the different angle it takes, and so good. Like Tom Cavanagh nailed not only this episode, but as I said, like the pretty much the last handful of episodes from this season, but also the tension around the episode was a pro as well. Just around the episode and plan, the whole tension. Though we really know it's not gonna work, that the plan's not gonna work. Like we saw Cisco die once. Like, was it gonna happen again? Like, or was someone else gonna die? It kept you second guessing certain moments and where things were gonna go. And that's like the best thing that an episode like this can do. Even at the point where Thawne took Eddie, you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe there's some weird time thing where he can kill Eddie or whatever it is, but you just weren't sure exactly what was going to happen. Another pro, this is like really the one, like around that starting point of the Vibe storyline. And obviously it plays more into season 2 and stuff like that when you jump into the multiverse aspect, but it was really cool to see the starting points of it and all the different like vibe, dream sequence things and stuff like that, and the origin of the glasses, or like what the glasses will then become. I thought that was really cool. And also Team Flash acted really quick in this episode. There was no dawdling, we failed 7 times and right in the episode we succeed, which had happened in season 1 as well, but is also just a trope that you see in later seasons of The Flash and a lot of superhero shows. But they acted quick and they were really efficient in this episode. Though the overall plan with the trap doesn't work, they were still acting quickly, which was nice to see. But this episode is the 4th rated or highest rated episode of The Flash of all time. And it doesn't surprise me that that's up there because it moves at such a quick pace. Everything's good, really outside of that weird Joe moment. But that's probably, some people wouldn't notice it, some people would. It's probably like it's not like a divisive moment. Like, it's just like one of those things that some people might not like. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me this is so highly rated because, yeah. I remember watching this during season 1 for the first time, and it was definitely great, and it just builds into this great ending that season 1 of The Flash has. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. That's the end of this, I guess, first return episode, or I think 4th or 5th overall episode of the Flashback reviews. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, it'd be awesome. You could drop a like. As I said, the next video we're going to do on this is focusing on the 2 Earth 2 episodes, Welcome to Earth 2 and Escape from Earth 2, which are episodes 13 and 14 from season 2. So if you want to watch those ahead of time, feel free to, because that's what we're going to be talking about. Not too sure when the upload is going to happen, but keep your eyes out for it over the next week or so. But yeah, let me know all your opinions in the comments section down below. What you thought of this episode when you watched it originally, and what you think of it now. Does it still hold up in your opinion? What are your favorite moments from this episode? All that stuff. Always curious to read, especially when we're having these flashback moments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.